Michael, I'm sick of online validation. I'm sick of caring about what others think. Us as creators always go through that, and I finally found one way that really helps me not care as much. So we're going to discuss that. 2Times Creative, this is a platform designed to help you dominate content creation while we're on the path to doing so ourselves. Michael.
Darren.
Michael, pleasure to be here. As I said in the intro, I'm just sick of caring that much about online validation, and I feel like it's something we all go through. You and I have gone through it many times, and it's just like, as soon as you post, your first thought is, what does so-and-so think about it?
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Of course I agree, and we definitely all go through it. And the first thing that comes to mind that will help ease, hopefully, the listeners and your mind is that nobody gives a shit.
Yes.
Because it's honestly so true, and I think that's what you're going to dive deeper into today in this video. But I think it's going to be a very good discussion because a lot of people are in their own heads and probably need that bit of clarity that it's not just them.
I think maybe it's not, they don't give a shit full stop, but something I had written down was they literally don't care as much as you. Like, you are the one that cares most about this stuff. But
I don't think people
at all
do. Like, I think we are so irrelevant to everybody else. Like, think about how we think of other people putting themselves out there.
True. Well, yeah, okay. Actually,
the small minority of people might care, but in terms of a mindset and actual reality, most people generally just do not give a shit.
No, okay.
That's helpful for us creators, is my point.
You're standing on your word. I appreciate it.
My opinion. It's opinion-based platform.
That's fair. So the way I have phrased this in my head to make it help me not care about online validation is to treat content like a business.
Yes.
So I like to visualize, and that's a saying I think we've said before, or we've heard before and whatnot, but I really like it because I like to visualize myself. If you're posting content, whether it's daily or whatever, you're literally walking into your office and showing up. And if you don't post content, you're just not walking into your office and showing up. So to me, that really helps me be like, even if it's a piece of content, you're like, oh, I look a bit weird on camera, or I don't say something as well as I would have liked to say it. But you're still just showing up. You're literally just showing up. Maybe you've had I'm trying to think of another office example. Maybe you've just had a bad hair day or something. But you're still showing up. So you'd rather show up than not at all. Do you catch my drift?
Yeah. No, I really like that because it is a different way of phrasing it in your own mind to be like, well, it's not about, and I'll ask you this, but it's not about the views and the engagement. I'm actually just going to show up to my work. I'm walking through those doors and sitting at my desk and doing what I need to do. But how does that mindset actually help not caring about the metrics of it, though? So you're showing up. Is that just an extension of that? Oh, okay, well, I'm showing up to work each day, so it's not actually about the views. It's about showing up the next day and the next day.
I think it's definitely an extension of that, and it's almost like the views on one reel or likes on one post. Your business is so much more than that. It's like it's just like a very small dot in like your path to success type of thing. And I know that sounds corny, but I like to think about myself about content as you're so much bigger than that one piece of content. So you have so much bigger dreams and aspirations for your business than to worry about the metrics of one post. And I think it's obviously very easy to worry about that stuff because we all do it. But if you put out content and you're pretty happy with it, even if it doesn't get likes and stuff, it's a slow grind. And obviously you want to improve, but I think it's definitely an extension of just like, I'm showing up and that is as successful.
I really like it. One thing while you were talking there came into my mind about how I really like treating content like a business, but I think an extension of that is to treat the metrics and the views and the engagement as a game.
Yeah.
So because we all treat it very seriously, but if you've got the overall mindset of I want to treat content like a business, I'm going to show up, we'll call it Darren's philosophy. The next extension of that is, well, we're still human. We're still going to care about the metrics, but play the game. Treat it as a game, a video game that you're trying to get better at and you're trying to improve, rather than life and death of, well, today I showed up at work, I made this bit of content, it didn't perform. Okay, play the game. Because it's going to be more enjoyable for yourself to not care as much. And let me get this very straight. We're still going to care about the views because that is part of the game. It's just about making the game fun. Because it's a game. It's not life.
I actually really like that. I think you've said this to me before. You're like, what happened if you identified that those metrics do matter in some capacity because that's the business. It's mostly online. It's social media. That's how it is. But enjoy it somehow. Like, treat it as a challenge, like a game, like you just said. So I think that's a great point. You can actually identify that you want those metrics to go up, but don't identify it in a way that makes you stress out over it. Yeah. Identify it as in, like, you're literally playing a video game. I have to level up and I haven't quite worked out how it works yet, but I will.
Yeah, I like
Video
this.
game
We've got-
analogy.
We've
That's
got
good.
a little philosophy of treat it like a business, and then a video game of the parts that get a bit toxic.
Yeah, exactly. Because the online validation thing is just, it's something we all go through, but it's just like a slippery slope. Yeah, if you're relying purely on the metrics, and even if it's a killer post that you're really happy with, but it gets 50% of likes of whatever you were hoping for, that doesn't mean it's a bomb. Like, it's just
Yeah.
like, to me, it's not that serious. But that's another thing I like to tell myself. Like, content isn't that serious. Have fun with it. Show up to your business, and the rest should hopefully take care of itself.
Yeah, I'd love to hear if you are watching this, ways, if you've experienced this, like you probably have if you create content, but ways you sort of convince yourself that the data and the views aren't that important, and how you actually push through that, because there's no magical answer here. I think this mindset is great, but in reality, you're still gonna it's not going to be a fun video game all the time. So I don't know. I'd like to hear other people's tactics, because this is sort of our tactic, but it's not going to be perfect. It doesn't work. I do it all the time. Like, I'll post a video as recently as this week where you're just like, geez. I think I'd messaged you actually about YouTube. It'll be really transparent. Like, YouTube views on our videos, and Darren just hit me straight in the face, sort of. I forgot.
No, I didn't.
Well, it didn't hit me, but like,
Prove it.
with the advice was, I think, I don't remember word for word, but you said something about that we push on this channel and we say on this channel, and it was in my mind, it was sort of take our own advice, like, you got to stick with it.
Preach.
Yeah, practice what we preach and stick with it for a period of time before getting annoyed and frustrated at not before you've hit that consistency and longevity of what you're trying to do.
And the other important factor was, even if YouTube views on this or anything you're doing, if the metrics aren't great in like a week or month or whatever, if you enjoy it, which I said that's one of the things I said to you as well. I'm just like, but think about every time we record, we have fun doing it, and it's a challenge. Like,
and
I'm having fun. We are growing every time we do this. So it's like, you enjoy it. We know we're putting stuff out there that's quite valuable. Like, just keep doing it. Like, just keep showing up. And I was going to touch on another thing, the whole online validation. So people talk about this a lot. I think your mate, Tom Noski, I don't know why he's your mate, but I think you first introduced me to him. But he talks a lot about, cool, you've got 50K followers, but are they actually customers? So like, online validation is interesting, because it's just like, you've got all these people that might like your work and comment on it, and you're like, cool, this feels good. But if they're not allowing you to live off that, and they're not purchasing customers, then that's the real point. That's the real like point you want to hit. You want them to buy off you. You want them to trust you to turn into customers, not just people that are going to like your work.
Yeah, it's like different forms of validation or different types of validation, because you might get 5 likes on a video, but maybe 2 of them visited your website and actually subscribed to your email list, and down the track they'll book you in for videography shoot.
Literally, you
and how do you know that came from that 5 likes video?
Yeah, literally, that's what's a funny thing about it. Like you said, like you could have 10 likes, but the 5 of those people buy off you and make your weekly wage. You're like, well, I don't need anything. I don't need that online validation to actually succeed.
And the opposite as well, like a viral video. I actually talked about this in our newsletter, I think last week, was if you have a viral video, do you buy off seeing a viral video, or do you buy with someone you connect with? It's an obvious answer. Like, if you see a viral video, like, oh, cool bit of content, geez, it's gone nuts. But are you thinking about like following them and like connecting with them? Maybe you will if it sort of resonated, but you're not going to buy something. So on the opposite end, something might go viral really well, but none of them booking a videography shoot while you're still validated. So it's sort of ironic. You're validated, but it didn't convert to anything.
Yeah, if you're doing that, it's like a bit pointless. But in saying that, if you go viral, you're obviously putting your work in front of many, many other people that could eventually trust you.
Yeah. Oh, there's still positives to both. It's just a good way of looking at the two differences.
It's almost like a peace of mind thing. And like you said, I want to know, is there anything I can ask you, is there anything other thing you tell yourself when you're posting content, when you might get in your head? Is there anything like literally if you're just like saying stuff in your own head, like repeating to yourself as you're posting it? I think it's just similar to what we've said.
I think how I started the show, nobody gives a shit. Like I've said that to myself a lot when you're posting or about to post or you're hesitant to post. Nobody gives a shit, Michael.
Yeah. It is good, and like I can relate to it because sometimes you just get in your head about it, and then you just like, if you like, it's just, and even just talking about it, like when we're talking about it right now, I kind of understand that it's not that serious, but it's completely different when you're actually creating something.
You know what? I also try to give myself perspective, and this sounds really funny because it's almost talking about yourself in third person, but and it sounds a bit deep, but the life I'm living is very like I'm so fortunate, like married, love my wife, like twin
That's
brother,
good.
a set of friends that I don't need new friends. I've got my friends for whatever. I know none of them, whatever I post online, they're not going to care. Like half of them don't even like they probably don't even consume. They're not that type of they're not creatives, for example. So I try to remind myself, well, what are you even worried about? Because you've got quote unquote everything you want. Not that literally, but I'm very lucky. Like you've got everything you want. So if you're trying to make new friends, or you're worried about friends turning into not friends or people that judge you off it, then I don't really have that concern because I know my friendship group won't do that.
No, that's a great way of looking at it. It's
Perspective is the answer, I guess.
perspective, and it's exactly right. It's like if people judge you for putting content out there where they're purely judging how you sound, what you're doing, if you're showing up every single day, and it's like, well, they don't really matter. Like you've got your circle, you've got your people. So online validation. Sorry, go on.
What
yes.
do you do? Sorry to cut you off. What do you do?
No, I think it's something something I've kind of gone through phases with, but like treat content as a business is definitely the latest one in terms of, well, it's why we're talking about what we're talking about. But I'm trying to think of what other things I've told myself, but I think it's just not that serious.
Yeah.
It's just content. It's literally, it will probably vanish in a day or two. Like it will. Like even the whole looking at your grid. Sometimes you look at your grid and you're like, oh, that's the same. Oh, that's pretty boring. It's like no one else looks at this stuff but you.
How often do you go to another creator's grid and be like, gee, that was off?
Yeah, and literally,
nobody cares.
They seriously posted that same color graphic 2 days in a row.
Oh,
but
they've got 5 talking head reels in a row. They're not really changing it up.
I'm going to finish with this. The last thing I often think about is, we all have people we look up to. We all have creators and CEOs or whoever. People were just like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'd like to be in a position similar to them. Well, they inspire me. But guess what? They put themselves out there. The only way you're going to succeed, or the only way you're going to most likely get to where you want to be, if it's in the creative industry or these people you look up to, is by putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
So the fact that we get in our heads about putting ourselves out there so often, it doesn't really make sense. The worst that can happen is you do it, you don't like it, you stop, but you won't try. I mean, you won't know unless you tried that thing.
Yep.
So just put yourself out there. Online validation is a bit of a bitch. It's a bit of a shit thing, but sometimes you just have to realize that it's a business and you have bigger goals.
Yeah. Treat it like a business, and an extension of that, treat it like a game. I think that's a good wrap.